Hi, my name is Anathanasia, and I live in the Philippines. This is a story by Mom Janessa about a creepy, unforgettable day when she was in her teens. My mom lived with her aunts and uncles, and she wanted to visit her family. Her family lived in Valencia on the Bukidnon province of the Philippines. At the side of their house is a bridge, and underneath the bridge is a river. One time, while visiting her family, my mom decided to wash her clothes, and my grandpa told her to wash his clothes too. Decades ago in the Philippines, people usually washed clothes near the river because there was a lack of running water. The river water was also safe to drink, so people tended to live near the river. After my mom prepared the things she needed to wash the clothes, Grandpa helped her carry it all to the river. The river was peaceful and very cold, and the weather was sunny, so it was a good day to wash some clothes since they'd easily dry under the sun. My mom was enjoying washing the clothes by hand when she heard footsteps coming from the bridge. The bridge is made of thick wood, so it makes sounds when someone passes by. My mom was facing the bridge, and she immediately looked up so she could greet the person because it could have been her neighbor. But nobody was there. She looked all along the bridge, but there was no one in sight. She continued her work, and she heard another set of footsteps again. She glanced back at the bridge, and still no one was there. She felt a little worried, but my mom is brave, so she let it pass. After she washed all the clothes and hung them up, she heard yet another set of footsteps. She turned her head to the bridge and was shocked because she could hear the footsteps of a person running, but even though the bridge was shaking a bit, no one was there. She was becoming distraught at that moment, but she closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened her eyes, she saw a shadow of a tall man. All was black. There was nothing else to see. She panicked and ran back to the house. My grandpa was shocked and asked her, "What's wrong?" She just said, "There was a dog chasing me." My mom went to her room after. 2 days later, my mom was busy getting ready for the day. She was brushing her hair in front of the mirror when, out of nowhere, a shadow passed by the reflection. She was startled and looked back and checked the whole room, but no one was with her. She began to brush her hair again, and when she glanced at the mirror, she was terrified when she saw the shadow man right behind her. She shouted and ran out of the room. The door was just to her right. She was so freaked out that she jumped down the stairs and hurt her legs and knees. My grandpa immediately went over to her and asked her what happened. She told him everything about her first meeting with the shadow man at the bridge. My grandpa just had a serious look on his face and carried Mom to the wooden sofa and treated the bruises she had. But then my grandpa told her, "I know that shadow man." My mom was confused and asked him, "Who is he, Dad?" Grandpa gulped and said, "He was our neighbor, Gilbert's son, Andrew. He died 3 years ago. It was raining very hard, so he was running as fast as he could to get home. He ran across the bridge, and when he reached the front of our house, a bolt of lightning came down and struck him, and it burned him to ashes." My grandpa had a very sad look on his face. My mom was shocked and speechless. The people who saw him die were startled and shouted. They called Gilbert and only saw his son's ID that was left half burned. Mom was at a loss for words and sad because of what happened. After Grandpa treated her injuries, he told her to just rest here on the sofa until her sister got back home so she could be with someone in their room. On the next day, our neighbor Gilbert happened to visit. My grandpa told him about what my mom encountered, and Gilbert apologized because she was scared by his son. Mom just accepted the apology and wanted to rest more. After a week, my mom's legs and knees were feeling better, so she went back to her hometown, Davao, but she will never forget those footsteps. This isn't the most interesting story ever, but I thought I would send it in anyway. I'm also not using my friends' real names while telling this story. This happened only 3 nights ago. My friends and I always stay out really late or go out really late. This one night it was cold and raining, but we decided to go out anyway. It was me and my 4 other friends, Jacob, Mike, Brooke, and Abigail. Abigail and Brooke were staying at my house that night, and we decided to meet up with Jacob and Mike at the store down the road from my house. By the time we got there, we were already soaked. We were all walking to our hangout spot, which is a good 30-minute walk, and we were joking around pretty loudly the whole way. We were not even halfway there when somebody screamed at us from their car. They didn't say anything, just screamed loudly. Everyone heard the scream except for Brooke. We thought nothing of it because people driving past us at night always do that. We started to joke around about a hostage situation that happened in our town the day before and talked about how one guy got away. I didn't even know it happened, so I was pretty frightened at first, but forgot about it pretty quickly. We were still walking, laughing, and joking around 10 minutes later when we heard a man yell,
"Shut up!"
at us. We turned to look behind us and saw a man in an alley across the street. We all looked at each other and none of us said anything because we didn't know what to say. The man then yelled again,
"People are trying to sleep!"
Since we were being loud, my first thought was that it was a guy who had been woken up by our yelling and such. We turned around to continue walking when he yelled again,
"Shut up!"
Brooke thought he was joking or something, so she yelled back at him, "No, you shut up!" As we were about to continue walking, he yells again,
"Who wants to talk?"
and he starts crossing the road to where we were. We all panicked and began running towards the nearest gas station, which wasn't too far away. The guy is running towards us, and my friend Jacob tells me to call 911, so I call them. They pick up, and I can barely hear them from our running, yelling, and the man's yelling. I tried to explain what was going on, but I didn't know how because I was so terrified. We get to the gas station, and my friend Brooke takes my phone and talks to the operator. We told the guy working at the gas station what happened, and luckily there were 2 customers in the store. My friends and I were in the store's corner near a cooler when we saw the guy walking up to the gas station door and noticed he had blood all over his shirt. The blood was coming from a wound on his head and a cut across his neck. The guy working at the gas station also calls 911, not knowing we already did. The guy starts yelling at us again, just repeating the same things. One of the customers, who's a little older, gets in front of us because the guy was trying to get closer to us, and he also tried to grab onto my friend Abigail. The customer in the store tells the man, "Back up right now." The guy says loudly,
"No, you back up or somebody's gonna get hurt."
We then see a police officer pull up by the gas station door and ask what's going on. Brooke hands me back my phone, and I tell the 911 operator that the cops are here. They told me to talk to the officer and hung up. The guy kept saying a bunch of random things to the officer, and then 2 more cars pull up. Only 1 more officer comes in. The guy goes to the back of the store where we can only see his face. The officer asks him, "Did you have anything to drink tonight?" And he says,
"A lot."
The officer then says, "Walk outside so we can talk." The guy says,
"No, I'm not gonna."
The officer then says, "Well, you're under arrest then."
"For what?"
The guy says, laughing. "For public intoxication, put your hands behind your back." The officer says,
"No."
The guy says, trying to leave the store. The officers grab him, and we hear something metal hit the floor. The officers arrest him, and the girl cop says, "Good thing I was in the lot." She then leaves, and the guy working at the gas station tells us to wait to tell the police what happened. The police come back in, and they ask what happened. We tell the police what happened, and he says, "Okay, it's the guy we were looking for anyway." Our faces drop, and we look at each other. The officer tells us we can leave now, so we go sit by a building for a while and talk about what just happened. We try and keep our minds off things, but we soon decide it's best we go home. The next day, we see a police report on Facebook talking about the guy who got arrested late that night was indeed from the hostage situation in our town. To explain the hostage situation a little more, there were 3 guys who held a young lady hostage. One knew he was going to get caught, and he shot himself when the SWAT team got there. One got shot by the SWAT team, and one of them got away. I won't share too much information about him, but I'll share a few things from the police report. He was 38 and from our town. He was armed when he was arrested, and that's the medal we heard drop on the ground. He attended court the next day and was charged with careless use of a firearm, unauthorized possession of a firearm, reckless discharge of a firearm, possession of a firearm while prohibited, assault, and uttering threats. I'm glad those customers were present, as well as the police officer. My friends and I could be dead right now if he had pulled out his gun.